but every single scene has 90 seconds of establishing shots of like jumping in the water and the wide and the flying and the wow for 90 seconds, and then we can get to do a scene, and then we end the scene with another 90 seconds of flying, soaring, and then once you're 50 minutes in, you're like, are we going to do this for every scene? And the answer is yes.
No way.
So it's just like, you want to actually get to what's happening in the plot, which I don't even care about anyway coming into Avatar 2, but you've just given me B-roll, 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 B-roll.
Yeah. I hope you appreciate the fact that I'm wearing a slightly seasonal jumper. And not just a seasonal green roll neck, but a seasonal green roll neck jumper very reminiscent of Love Actually, I think.
From the Walking Dead guy.
Oh, I mean, there's loads of roll necks in that film.
Oh,
I was
which one
thinking
are you
more Colin
referencing?
Firth, really, actually.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But definitely Andrew Lincoln you're talking about.
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
I think that's up in that category. That's why this has like double Christmassy vibes for me. Not only is it warm, not only is it green, it's also Love Actually.
I love
That's three
dissections
things,
of Andrew Lincoln's story. Or to be honest, any of the stories in Love Actually and how flawed they are.
deeply.
And I think every year Richard Curtis does some sort of interview where he has to apologise for some of the writing in Love Actually. And like as the years go by, we look back at some of it and go, "Ooh, that's a little bit that's strange behaviour."
Yes, I mean,
I know we're not going to do a dissection, but like
Well, no,
Andrew
but,
Lincoln
like,
specifically, like
the cards.
the cards. What if his friend answered
the husband
the door?
answered the door, yeah.
Like
yeah.
Chiwetel Ejiofor, who now is a much bigger actor than at the time.
And Andrew Lincoln as well, to be fair.
Yes,
like,
yeah, absolutely.
I know, but like, oh, hi, mate. I mean, there's a sketch going around on TikTok where people have done that, where they've recreated this sort of, oh, shit, what's the cards for? Is your wife not in?
Yeah.
And she just sort of stands there and like takes it all in, like, oh, isn't it sweet? Instead of it being like, this is really creepy. This man has turned up.
A guy who I work with quite a lot, who actually listens to the show, I wonder if he'll comment, but he often will hire me to take pictures of shoots that he does. And I'll show him the pictures. A lot of them are of him, and he'll go, they're all of me. But you don't talk to me.
Also, that's creepy. Andrew Lincoln making a
and
video
he edited
cut.
it.
Yes.
He edited it together.
Yes, with
It's
old
not a
school,
tape.
old school film. He would have
Yes.
stitched that
And
together.
it's not like he played the tape and all the clips were like naturally in that way. He edited it together.
and then made it and then got it processed into a VHS.
Yes.
And labeled it and was careless enough to leave it out.
Leave it out where he probably watches it late at night.
Oh God.
Gosh, I just want something of me in a dress. Isn't it all blue and wiggly? You get awful close, aren't you? And then when she realises, she's like,
Yeah, there's lots of things. What are you gonna do? Tie it in a box or something? What does Alan Rickman say to Roman?
can we be quite quick?
Yeah. Oh no. What else are you gonna do? Dip it in yogurt? I'd be prontissimo. So,
With the slightest of touches.
yeah. Sprigs of
Rowan
rosemary.
Atkinson is so good
Lavender,
at that.
yeah.
He's so
Yeah,
fantastic.
terrific. Rowan Atkinson always really delivers if you think about it.
Do you see Man vs. Bee?
Well, when I found out it was a series, no.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a 90-minute film, and they were like, no, it's a 6-episode series.
That's a very short concept, which
Yes.
you've got. Well, we've got
Summed
the
up in the
budget.
title.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that bee got paid a lot of money. It's a real
That could
diva.
have been a 5-minute sketch at most. At most.
Did you hear people talk about Man vs. Bee?
Nope. The week it came out on In Press for that.
Yeah, and then on.
What would you have Rowan Atkinson do? You're now in charge of Rowan Atkinson's career. He's chained to a radiator, and you come in. You go, listen, Rowan.
Kick the water can out the way.
Yeah.
From now on, get the flashlight in his
I'll
eyes.
sign you up for some. Like, what would you want him to do?
The
Sketch.
thing is, it's hard because like the obvious gear change would be Rowan. We want you to do serious roles, right?
Yes,
but
which I think he could definitely
do. But it is hard for an audience to adjust to seeing someone, as we have had a recent conversation about Lenny Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when a very famously comic actor tries to do something very serious,
And in fantasy, where it feels a little bit over the top.
well, yes, with the Lenny Henry thing, but
Yeah.
it can come across like a comic relief sketch. So I don't know. I think I don't know.
I'd
Actually.
love him doing sketches, just never-ending sketches. I feel like he's got so many different parts in his repertoire. Like you could say, "Oh, do like another kind of series in the vein of Blackadder," but not quite. But I feel like that time's been and gone.
But maybe if you're going to get Rowan Atkinson, who is an absolute, one of the finest comic talents there is, why would you not get him to do comic talent stuff. He's not
Yeah.
like Jim Carrey, where he's kind of like matured out of that. Like Rowan Atkinson can still very plausibly do the rubber faced. I mean, Jim Carrey can to an extent, but anyway. Digression. I just wanted to say I have a Christmassy Love Actually jumper on, and
well, usually when you wear green, you go, I'm blending into the sofa.
well, it's actually a different green today. Thank you very much, James.
It's like, you're popping out of it.
I would say this is slightly more emerald.
Once again, guys, if you just listen, you are missing the visuals.
mean,
Flick on the video.
Yeah. And James is wearing you're dressed like it's summer, you idiot.
It's actually a very warm
Polo.
short sleeve polo. It's barely a polo.
That would really bother me, because I'd be like, my arms are cold, but my body's hot.
No, I'm actually really toasty. I'm going to take it off. I'm just going to go white vest.
String vest. Like it's the 50s, but gravy down it.
Exactly.
Anyway, I just thought I'd wear it because it's the season. Let's get on with the show.
So George, last week you and I went back and rewatched Avatar 09, and we did a full sort of refresh on that film. I've since now seen Avatar: The Way of Water.
Right.
Went to go see it with all the bells and whistles, which I'll get into. Okay. But you know when you go to an IMAX screening and they like to make a bit of an occasion of it?
Yes.
And all the studios and all the people who have shot stuff on IMAX will sort of give you a preview of what's to come.
Yeah.
And usually you get not just either a trailer, but you get like an IMAX presentation trailer, right? So I had two.
Okay.
I had two
This
in my
is the
screening.
BFI IMAX.
It's at the BFI
which,
IMAX.
if anyone-
Biggest screen I could find.
Biggest screen in the UK.
Which I'll get into for Avatar 2. But for now, it was some trailers, and now a look at Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1.
With an American accent.
I think so.
Wasn't like, hello. Wasn't Mark Strong like, hello. I'm just thinking American accent's very sort of corporate.
It felt like an American producer doing a voiceover.
So Dead Reckoning Part 1, right?
No drama. It was behind the scenes. Tom Cruise doing a stunt, which we've seen in the trailer. No, he's riding a bike off a ramp onto a cliff.
Brilliant.
And God, he's just an exciting man.
Yeah,
I just feel like they said it was the first day of shooting, and it's Tom Cruise. Like, it's incredible. They've built this ramp. No, listen to me. They've built this ramp, and it's like this scaffolding. Everything had to be shipped over by a helicopter, and they built this ramp. And Tom Cruise is driving a motorcycle, which he drives off this ramp, and then has a parachute on. So he has to push off the bicycle, do a base jump with only about, like, I swear, he's not falling for long. And he throws this parachute up, and I swear to God, like, that parachute does not open very cleanly. I'm looking at it, and I'm like, you know when it sort of ruffles before it, like, properly pops? I'm like, if that had been another 4 seconds longer, he's gone.
Oh my God.
I'm looking at, like, the amount of space he's got. I'm just thinking, this man is crazy, and I don't think anyone can tell him no. Wow. Shot looks great. Shot looks fantastic. And he does a couple of, like, test runs to warm himself up. But I just tell you, he just lives for it. And I just think he's chasing this, like, what's the next extreme thing? Like, he did the hanging on to the outside of the plane for, I want to say, Mission Impossible 5.
Yes.
You know, Top Gun Maverick was its own thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like every film has to have its stunt.
That is what people pay for. It's the spectacle. It's almost like it's high-class Jackass.
Yeah,
right?
It really is. But I'm like, where does it go from here? We can't keep throwing this aging man.
When he gets to 80, he'll be like, I'm going to be fired into the sun. And whether or not I come back, who knows?
And we'll all just be like, wow. See that.
And I saw that in IMAX.
Yeah.
You really see the point where he hits.
And, you know, the director's there. And I can't remember who the director is who's directing it. But they've got this.
I think it's Christopher McQuarrie still.
That sounds about right. And they're watching. He's in, like, you know, a little director's tent with some monitors watching Tom Cruise do this jump. And he is shitting himself. He's literally watching it, like, with his head and his face covered. And he's watching this canopy, like, not quite open. And then it does. And then he's, you know, like, you almost steer into the rock. And Tom Cruise is, like, trying to compensate by coming back round. And Christopher McQuarrie is shitting himself. Yeah. And he's like, oh my God, it's done. It's fine. Okay, great. Round of applause. And then Tom Cruise comes back out and he's like, I think I can do it again. I think I need to, because I could do it for longer. I can hold it for longer. It's like, okay.
So you've probably got a very, very sweaty insurance man in the corner.
Oh my God.
Also,
Paramount on the phone.
Well, that's the thing. I was like, Christopher McQuarrie's probably shitting himself because he thinks he's going to be the one to call Paramount and go, hey, president of Paramount, how's it going? All good here, all good. Just a tiny hitch with the film. Tom Cruise is now red paste on the bottom of this valley, obliterated into bits. We don't have a star anymore.
And you imagine when he's got the shot, he's like, have we got it? Okay, let's let's do some dialogue.
Yeah,
let's just
calm down.
Let's all calm down. And that was the first thing they shot.
What else did you see?
So that ended.
Right.
And now I look at Oppenheimer. And this was a trailer that I assume everyone else is going to see probably by now. But it was more of a teaser. Still we're in teaser territory.
All I need for a Nolan film.
And I'm sold. I'm so sold. It's shots of Cillian Murphy climbing this water tower in Los Alamos. And they're placing what it would be the bomb like down into this thing. And what was really good is there's a sense that they didn't know what would happen when they detonated this bomb, obviously. But they're talking about this fact that there is a chance that this bomb could ignite the entire atmosphere of the planet on fire. And Matt Damon is like, what are the chances of that happening? It's like, it's low. It's close to zero. Matt Damon's like, close to zero? What do you mean? Ignite the entire... And he says it a bit better than that. And then you cut to walking through with the press and everyone's like, Oppenheimer. It's a lot of stuff you see with the old bulbs.
Yeah.
And then it keeps being cut with what I think are very close-up shots of the surface of the sun.
Yes.
Like that sort of hydrogen plasma.
Which we had in the
black
first
spot.
one, right? Because it's David Strathairn, isn't it? Isn't he?
He's somewhere there.
I realised that. Yeah.
And you just get the sense they're manhandling this. The bomb kind of looks like an old water mine.
Yeah.
It's like in Finding Nemo. And they're sort of moving it around and no one knows what's going to happen. Then you've got Robert Downey Jr. in court in full IMAX, like just in his face on the screen with a beautiful like old school haircut, just mentioning some things. And yeah, I mean, there's nothing really to say apart from it's nice to see an IMAX presentation. And when it's... when you get it and you hear the IMAX film go behind you, like, oh, this is good fun, and it's being presented to me in celluloid, which is nice.
I love that because, like I said, that's all I need to be sold for a Nolan film. But speaking of Oppenheimer, which is coming out in July, and the film we always mention at the same time did you see the teaser for Barbie came out as well?
I did.
Brilliant.
So clever.
Fantastic.
Greta
Spot
Gerwig's
on.
Barbie.
If you haven't seen it, you probably have done by now. It's doing the rounds. It is a shot-for-shot remake of the opening sequence of 2001. Maybe not the opening sequence, but the whole sequence with the apes. It's been
a monolith with the moon.
Yeah,
above it.
It's all been done now. Instead of the apes, it's children with Barbie dolls.
Girls only had dolls then.
Yeah,
and
babies.
It's
got the Thus Spake Zarathustra on the background, and then obviously instead of the monolith, it's a giant Margot Robbie. It's just the wink. And they even they throw the baby doll up, don't they? And it matches the bone, and it becomes. Then as soon as it clicks into Barbie, and it's like disco funk, And you get a brief shot of Ken. You get
Ken just sort of doing a thing.
And
I think it looks fantastic.
But I think it was just a way of being like, I know you think this is like a very corporate sanitized toy film, but actually it's a very. I'm Greta Gerwig. This film is better. I'm a cinephile. I'm a cinephile. I know what I'm doing, kind of thing. Yeah. So I was like, brilliant. What weekend that's going to be?
I wonder how odd it's going to be, the fact that it's done that whole 2001 sequence. I'm not expecting that to necessarily make it into the film, but I'm wondering how referential it will be, how odd, what kind of things it's going to play with.
I think quite a lot. I mean, I don't think any of that sequence will be in the actual film because it's just like it served its purpose now. But isn't it funny you can shoot something entirely like that?
Oh yeah, just for the marketing.
Just for the marketing.
Which I actually prefer. Don't show me the film.
Yeah, no,
just give me a sense of what you're doing. Yeah,
give me a thing. Yeah. Exciting to see what films are coming out. We'll be talking about 2023 films in future episodes.
Yeah, stay tuned. What day are people listening to this? Is it Christmas week?
This is next Wednesday. So it's the 22nd. Well, first. Second.
So this will be the last one before Christmas.
Wait a minute. Yeah, this is the one before Christmas,
This is next Wednesday. Yeah.
This is next Wednesday.
What an exciting...
I have some news, just quickly. We talk about some news that happened last week.
Yeah,
it turns out Henry Cavill is not going to be Superman after all.
Yeah.
We talked about this before. Henry Cavill famously kind of left The Witcher. He made a surprise reappearance as Superman in Black Adam because The Rock really pushed for it. DC's have this massive, in the context of things, right? DC has had a massive strategy change with what it's going to do with all of its superhero properties.
James Gunn is at the helm.
And it's got like 10-year project. That was why Batgirl got shelved, very controversially.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we're pushing ahead. Now they're making Black Adam, and Dwayne Johnson was like, I want Superman and I want Henry Cavill to be in the post-credit scene. And the guy was like, no, we actually have a different vision. We're going to go with Superman. He pushed and went over the guy's head and managed to get Henry Cavill back in.
Yeah.
And then Henry Cavill was like, I'm back as Superman, left The Witcher. They had to recast that. And 2 months later, maybe a month later, it's now,
released an Instagram story, basically. I'm really sorry we've had conversations and I will not be returning as Superman.
He said no bad blood. He just said it's just, parting ways and they're going ahead without him, which is...
A couple of theories going around about it on there.
You think it's because he's Bond?
Well, I don't think. I think it's interesting. I think it could be. I don't... here's the thing. I think First of all, there were rumors that Henry Cavill was not in a happy place when he was doing The Witcher.
Oh, really?
Right? There were
Creatively.
lots of online-based rumors, not based on any facts, so pinch of salt, that he is a huge fan of the Andrzej Sapkowski books and was very much, if you know anything about Henry Cavill, he's a huge like Warhammer 30,000 nerd, builds his own computers, really into his stuff, played the Witcher games before the series, really knew his stuff, went in to work on the show, and I think he knows that the reaction to some of the places that show has gone in terms of the story has been mixed, and he has sort of not actually loved the ways in which they do it. There have been reports that the writers of The Witcher do not like The Witcher actual source material. And Henry Cavill is apparently, from industry insiders, has had public arguments with, or disagreements with the writers on the show on set, and they've had to stop and rewrite certain scenes because Henry Cavill has been saying that he does not think that this character would do this, right? So there's been some friction. He had signed, how many has he done? 3 seasons or 2 seasons?
They've done 2, but they've filmed season 3, so we've got season 3 still
So
to
he
come.
was signed up for 3 seasons, right? So he's completed his contract, and when it came to renewing it, he said, I'm not renewing, which is many ways is not quitting because you only signed up for 3,
sure.
But you are in the middle of your story.
Yeah.
It looks a lot like you've left the show. So there's this whole idea that he wasn't happy with it, and if he's not going to, he doesn't want to be part of something that's not true to what he thinks it's got. So he's just gone, peace, I'm out. At the same time, while he was filming Witcher Season 3, he was asked by DC to come and shoot a post-credit scene for Black Adam. He wasn't allowed to tell anyone why he had to go and film that. So he asked permission from the Witcher people to say, hey guys, I need to leave to go film a scene. I can't tell you what it is. Is it okay if I go do it? It's for a cameo. And they obviously could understand what it was for. But that Black Panther scene happened. Then
Black Adam.
Sorry, thank you. The Black Adam scene happened. Then he gets announced he's coming back as Superman for a Man of Steel reboot. At which point we also hear he is quitting The Witcher.
Yeah.
Because big time commitments, can't do both at the same time. Now that you've heard that he's no longer doing Superman, I just can't help but think that there's more to this. There are conversations which have happened since he agreed to do it between what DC want to do and I think what Henry Cavill wants to do, which have meant that creatively they're not on the same page. I think that probably it is to do with scheduling. And there are lots of that. You know what the saddest thing about it, sorry I'm rambling, is that it just means that you cannot, if you see a post-credit scene, it just does, especially from DC, it means so little now. You've cheapened your promise of, this person's in. I'm like, are they?
Well, this is the thing. I think that what's sad is that DC have said, right, we're not doing Batgirl, we're launching ahead with a new phase, and already there's just this messy detail, which is like, he was back, but when that whole thing is now irrelevant, it's been retconned. It's just not.
It makes you feel like these decisions are made very quickly without much thought. We'll just do that in there. Let's create buzz to help sell Black Adam.
But that's the thing. I
tickets.
think they didn't want to because Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is just so big.
Now he's gone. They're like, thanks, Dwayne, but we're going to do what we want now.
Anyway, that was go on.
Also, would you like Henry Cavill as Bond? Is it boring to you?
I think I like Henry Cavill. In his, and I'd like to see him do more, have more fun. Like I know he's in like Nola Holmes. I would like him to have fun more. I think him as Bond is just a bit. It's just a bit obvious, and like he's already established. I want to see an actor really kind of grow into that. Like Tom Holland in Spider-Man. You want to bring a slightly unknown actor who can really make it their own.
I think we should have someone who's largely unknown in the way that Daniel Craig wasn't a big name in the face.
He'd been in stuff.
Yeah.
But he wasn't.
Chances are you hadn't heard of him until he was cast as Bond. For most people.
Most people.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, he had been in stuff like
He'd done lots of like quite independent
TV. He'd done British TV. And Enduring Love, Road to Perdition, Layer Cake.
When they announce it, I want to go, who's that again?
Oh,
and
I
want to Google it. Yes, he looks familiar. That's what I want to do.
Oh, that's the guy from...
Yes, he did that. He was like a supporting actor in that BBC drama.
Yes.
That's what I kind of want to get from
Jonathan Pryce. No one would predict that.
No.
Anyway, that was a little bit of movie news. So as James mentioned, last week we did a massive deep dive into the first Avatar ahead of the release of Avatar The Way of Water, which is now out and been released. Due to the tight schedule before Christmas and the 3-hour, 15-minute runtime, it has not been possible for both of us to have seen it. James, you have seen it. You've gone ahead and done it, which I'm glad, and I really want to hear your thoughts. Before I do, though, I wanted to say I noticed 2 things. On my way here, recording this morning, I was getting the tube, and I saw the poster. I stood in front of the big Avatar poster, right? And first of all, I was like, they've changed the font. It's no longer the papyrusy logo
Okay.
is.
It's a variation on papyrus.
Yeah,
though.
it's a different. They kind of like made it bold. They've highlighted it and clicked
yeah.
bold. If anyone wants to, you must know the Saturday Night Live sketch with Ryan Gosling, where he plays the graphic designer who's annoyed about the fact that he's papyrus in Avatar. It's
and
brilliant.
It did throw me when we rewatched Avatar and the papyrus
the
subtitles
papyrus subtitles.
It is offensive to the eye, but anyway.
It's like using Comic Sans. Also, what I noticed about the poster, because I'm always interested about their intentions and how they're trying to reintroduce this brand back into people's minds.
Yeah.
Is that the poster is very, very clean. You know, normally with film posters, you get that very tiny writing at the bottom which says like directed by so and so, so and so's production. Yeah, Fox Searchlight Productions coming out. None of that is on the poster. It's just Avatar, The Way of Water, release date, picture of Jake.
A James Cameron thing.
Nothing to do with James Cameron. Just picture of Jake Sully riding an Ikron. That's it. And I was like, interesting. It's very clean. Anyway, so The Way of Water.
Yeah.
I'm always going to struggle with that title.
That's fine.
You've been to see it. Talk us through.
I want to start, before I go into my thoughts on the film, I'm going to start with some very techie things.
Okay.
Because we actually had an email last week where someone wrote in and asked about screenings, high frame rate, and whether or not you should go and see it. Again, please check out the episode. I gave a little breakdown of what that means when you go see something in high frame rate. I was like, okay, I'm just going to go and see it in IMAX. I don't want any excuses. I want bells and whistles. I don't really want anyone to say, well, if you had seen it in this, and you missed the pixels in the frame and the frames per second. I sort of was like, I didn't want to see it in 3D, but there was no option to not see it IMAX, not in 3D. I was like, okay, it's going to be my last 3D hurrah. Unless this is doing something so amazing. And like, you know, I was like, I'm just going to do it. This is the only film worth doing it in. So the film starts, you put your 3D glasses on, and I realized that I was also watching it in high frame rate, which I looked at my ticket, had no reference for a high frame rate, but it was running at 48 frames per second. But while I thought, as soon as it started, holy shit, this is immersive. Like I am, you know, we're high frame rate, it is techie, it is this, it is all of it. Avatar, The Way of Water, really annoyingly, has not cut the whole film in 48 frames. It is switching, unforgivably in my opinion, between 24 and 48 in scenes. So for example, like all the stuff, when they go under the water, and it's all colourful and amazing, we're in 48 frames. Kind of like how Nolan does exteriors in IMAX, but dialogue scenes not, which is for a reason, okay? This mid-scene, so you and I talking, wide is 48, and then we're talking in 48, and then it cuts back to 24, then into 48 in the middle of the scene.
And your brain knows. It's so noticeable, right?
And I don't have a problem with it being in 48. I find it's very smooth. And for Avatar, which is actually, it's all digital, it's not really giving away the live action, you know, magic behind the film. So I'm actually almost okay with the 48, but the switching was terrible.
Oh my God.
I can't, and the fact that it was mid-scene.
Is this something else people have noticed online as well?
I don't know. I don't know if this is just me because I like work with frame rates for a living and maybe I'm just noticing it. But I was immediately like, oh, for fuck's sake. I'm actually enjoying the high frame rate for what this is. It's the only film that it makes sense to do. And the fact that it's digital means that nothing's, I think, is being lost or you're not making me feel ill or weird because I'm in this world. The screen is as big as a 3-story building. Like, go for it. And I just want to say that I did see it with all the bells and whistles. And as much as I'd like to say that last week I said, give high frame rate a chance, annoyingly, this is not how I think it should be done. Do it all or don't do it. And that's just all I want to say with it. Okay, I'm going to start with some good things about Avatar, The Way of Water. As I just said, when this film started and I've seeing it in 7D at 8 million frames per second in the biggest screen I can, it is as good as James Cameron personally prying open my eyelids and just slapping me in the face 48 times a second with this film. And in the beginning, when I'm just starting, I'm looking at it and I'm like, you know what? Holy shit, this is very immersive. Yeah. And I think, I'll get onto this comment later, I think James Cameron knows why people have come to see Avatar. It is not for the deepest writing. It is for some real spectacle, and we're going to show you loads of shots of all the Avatar things that we've come to enjoy. And it's there. And in the first part of the film, I'm like, do you know what? This is really big and huge, and it's beautiful. I don't want to say it's something I haven't seen before because I have with Avatar. But you know, there's moments where I'm looking at a close-up of Jake Sully on Neytiri's face, and I can see the marbling of someone's iris in their eye, and I'm almost forgetting that this is not a real shot. It is purely digital. And the facial, capture motion capture technology is as good, if not better, than Avatar, which you and I said was one of the best things about that, is that that technology works. It's still fantastic. That's about. I think there are some well choreographed action scenes in the third act. The film really needed some action and some oomph and some just a bit of grit. And when it came in the third hour, I was like, oh, thank God. And I thought, they know how to do it. Sweeping shots, cool bow and arrow things. I was like, thank you for putting that in and for it being actually quite well done. I've criticised quite a lot of films recently for not having punches land. And I'm thinking, I'll give that to Avatar. Performances, I think, are really good. Stephen Lang is really excellent in this film.
Right, yes. But because I didn't know...
He's in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything.
Because I didn't know, and then I read online when we were doing last week's episode that he's in it, and I was like, but you...
Yeah. I'll get into it, and it's not a spoiler to say he's in it, because he is in the trailer for one of the films briefly. He's really good in it. And, they give him a lot more to do in this film. He's very sort of compelling and charismatic, and there's an attempt to give his character a bit more depth, but I don't think it really ultimately works. I started this film. It's 3 hours and 15 minutes long. It is really, 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 really long.
Yeah.
And, that sense of wonder and magic is there, especially in the beginning. But then I got to about 55 minutes in, and I'm sitting there and I'm going, okay, this is really boring.
Wow.
After, I've seen what they're doing and the spectacle is there, after that amount of time, I need to care now.
Yeah. You've had your opening act, you need your investment now.
I need to care. And I checked my watch, and I was like, oh my God, I have 2 hours and 25 minutes left of this film. And I'm so bored. And I think this is the problem. I think, as I said, James Cameron knows that spectacle and the sense of wonder and the whys are why people are coming to see this film. But every single scene has 90 seconds of establishing shots of jumping in the water and the wide and the flying and the wow for 90 seconds. And then we can get to do a scene. And then we end the scene with another 90 seconds of flying, soaring. And then once you're 50 minutes in, you're like, are we going to do this for every scene? And the answer is yes.
No way.
So it's just you want to actually get to what's happening in the plot, which I don't even care about anyway coming into Avatar 2. But you've just given me B-roll.
Yeah.
And it's just the trees and the water and the stars. And look, my hand lights up with the plankton in the sea. It's like every single scene is topped and tailed.
With trailer shots.
With 3 minutes of those. It's exactly the shots you see in the trailer. Yeah. But it's you need one of those, maybe two, to establish your wide. And if you're showing something really, when films show a really beautiful location, they'll do that. Yeah. They'll go, hey, we're shooting Khazad-dûm in Moria. I'm going to show you an amazing wide of the whole thing. Yeah. And it'll give you 3 shots. It doesn't do it for every scene.
No.
Because you just go tired of B-roll. It is like a slideshow screensaver. I'm like, can we not get to the point? So I think James Cameron has gone, let's just give people what they want. But I fortunately, I think even though the technology of this film is incredible, that has become the reason to see the film, not the plot and the characters. And I feel like if your technology has become the most paramount thing, that what's dominating your film, I think you've unfortunately lost what's good about this film in the first place. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the plot because it is there. So the same number of years have passed since Avatar came out as is in the movie, right? So 13, 14 years. Jake Sully, as we remember from the end of Avatar 1, has managed to perfectly ditch his old human body and through the spirit of Awar and magic and connecting to nature is now permanently living in his avatar body. He is the leader of the Omaticaya clan, who are the forest clan that we were introduced to in Avatar. He has been able to raise a family with Neytiri, and they're teaching them how to fish and how to hunt, all the ways of nature and being respectful of how you kill. And, there's sort of different conflicts and all those different children want different things. And everything is good and everything is perfect, apart from the fact that they look up into the sky one day and a new star appears in the sky. And that can only mean one thing. It is the return of the sky people. So as they decelerate into the atmosphere, their engines are creating this new light. And the sky people have returned. This time they are industrializing new areas of Pandora. They've got all the tools, all the machines. And what is the biggest problem they face? This former guerrilla Marine Jake Sully is, taking out their train lines. He is causing problems. He's trying to protect his people. But who is waking up from a cryo chamber? It is an avatar of General Quaritch. And he looks at a message video from the Stephen Lang version of himself saying, if you were reading this, it means that you were killed in combat. Luckily, I uploaded my consciousness into this so that you can continue the work that I had. So he is not General Quaritch. He is an avatar with Stephen Lang's consciousness in it, who is after one thing, and that is to capture Jake Sully and kill him.
Right. Nice, very, very one-dimensional motivation there, but carry on.
Yeah, and so what happens, Jake Sully realizes that he is the one that is drawing the Sky people to the Ometakaya. So what must he do? He must take his family, and they must leave the Ometakaya and go many kilometers away to this other clan of people. I can't remember. It's a very complicated name. Sorry, I can't remember it. And these are seafaring seafaring Na'vi, who are similar but slightly different. They have slightly more greeny, turquoisey skin. They have adapted to swim. They have these sort of large forearms where they can really swim fast, and their tail is thick like a dorsal fin, so they can hold their breath for minutes at a time. And there's a lot of conflict because they need to be introduced to that clan. They need to be accepted. The children are not quite. They look very different to them, so they're being bullied. There's a conflict between Jake Sully and the leader of the new tribe's kids, and how they need to be integrated. And the Sky people come, and there's problems, and Jake Sully's brought his own conflict to these other people. And yeah, it's in the exact same way that Avatar 1 did. It paints its emotions with a very broad brush. And I'm going to steal something that you said when we talked about Avatar, was that it gives you nothing to do as an audience member. There is no point where I'm going like, what's going to happen here? And what about, that choice? I don't know if I would have done that. And I think at the start of every scene, once I got through 3 minutes of B-roll, as soon as the scene starts, I can tell you that's how the scene's going to end. I'm like already steps ahead. I feel like I'm Sherlock Holmes and I'm smarter than the people having the conversation. Right, I already know where you're going here at every single scene. So I'm sort of starting a scene and I'm going, you're going to have to do that.
Yeah.
And you're not going to want to do that. But that's what's complicated, done.
It ain't that complicated, James. As in James Cameron, I mean.
Yeah. And fine for a half-an-hour TV show, but for 3 hours and 15 minutes, I'm sorry, it is just so indulgent, and I just cannot believe how boring it is.
Wow.
There's just last night we went for dinner, and your girlfriend asked me, she known I'd seen it yesterday, and she said, "Is it good? Should I go see it?" She said, "I remember actually quite enjoying going to see the first one with my mum. It was sort of an enjoyable experience." And I had to say no. I cannot reasonably tell someone to go and sit through this film when it is so boring.
And just boring and long. Two big crimes there.
Yeah.
One, you can have a long film and it mustn't be boring. If you have a boring film, it mustn't be long. But if you're going to do both, unforgivable.
And after I finished it, I sent you a picture of my face when I'd come out, because I've been 8 million frames a second, IMAX. I've just been like drip-fed, boring blue into my eyes. And I've never felt so bored and overstimulated. It was like doing 3.5 hours of TikTok, but I would rather have done TikTok.
Of course.
This is the face I made when the film ended. Credits, I peeled the glasses off my face. I felt like I'd come out of cryo sleep.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh my God, I can't. What was...
last
groggy.
week when we read that headline from the Telegraph, where it was like 3 hours of being waterboarded with turquoise cement. It's kind of accurate.
It is, and I could tell you it is beautiful. And I looked at some of the shots and I went, wow. But after an hour, you've not given me anything.
That's
and
really. Do you know what?
You're eye rolling from the B-roll, and by the way, it turns out the way of water is just holding your breath for a long time, which everyone seems to manage to do really easily. And they've been adapting.
People
for
on
thousands of years.
Earth can do that with training.
Kate Winslet apparently did 7 hours and 7 minutes and 15 seconds.
7 hours?
She's no longer with us. No, she apparently broke Tom Cruise's record on this film, which is very cool.
Okay.
But
look, we've been doing this the whole year, and I've not seen you as animatedly frustrated with something as this. You've been down about films and you've been frustrated with this, but this seems, I can see it's one thing to not like a film, but it's the secondary thing, which is it's annoyed you because it is so long and so boring. I think everything you say I kind of feel like it doesn't surprise me, and I'm just sad that it's there.
It's a little bit worse than I imagined it was going to be.
Do you think James Cameron forgot that less is more? Always keep the people wanting more.
Yeah.
And
I worry if
it's like the Jurassic Park thing. Like, just because he was thinking so long about what he could do, instead of he should have actually thought about whether he should have done it. So he's probably been spending 13 years thinking, and we can do this now with this technology. We can do this, and people are going to love it. We're going to give them this bumper hamper. It probably needs
give the people what they want.
Don't always.
I have a feeling there is a phenomenon when someone gets, I think you could say this is true of rappers, of film directors, of lots of artists, where you have someone who has been very well established and who has been validated by extreme success from a creative vision in the past, that I don't think anyone is going to question what they do next, even though they probably should. Yeah. So I think someone has gone, well, he made the highest grossing film of all time, and he has some sort of unspoken way to...
Two of the highest grossing
films of all time. He has some sort of way to connect to audiences all over the world. We cannot possibly tell him that, actually, James, I think your incredible vision that made us shitloads of money maybe is a bit long and baggy, because people said the same thing about Avatar 1.
He's got blank check. He's got complete blank check, and he's unchallenged. Isn't he? Who would challenge him? He's like a demigod level of great creativity, and that's never really a good thing. I mean,
and it's like I feel like I am really going for it, but it is also the fact that we did just watch Avatar 1. And this also got me thinking about franchises. Really big IP. Yeah. Successful stories that are able to sustain you over years, if not decades, and come back, and why they work, right? Yeah. Like really big budget, big storytelling. And I think about, let's take Harry Potter, for example, okay? I know it's books, but let's talk about just from the film's perspective. Yeah. Every single book is showing you something new. The first one gives you the universe, and that's engaging in its own right, because it's a new universe, and it's very easy to get someone, hey, here's my world, here's how the laws work. But every book, new magic is revealed, new characters are revealed, things that actually change the information you have before, which make you want to keep watching. Yeah. Star Wars, new rules of the Force are revealed. The character is completely changed. Like, all of these franchises are sort of giving you something new. Yeah. Avatar was new. It was a new world. Yeah. It was new technology, and that's why it sustained people's attention, even if the story wasn't there. I don't think this one can do anything new for you.
Really?
It's
more of the same. It's a lateral move.
Avatar's beautiful, and it was beautiful in 2009.
Right.
It's a little bit more technology, but like I can't just tune in for that.
Do you think that it's one of those things that the longer the gap... We live in an era where belated sequels are a genre unto themselves. Right?
Yeah.
Really in our early episodes, I think we kind of did a quick run-through of belated sequels, right? But like, is it that the longer the gap between films, the more you have to justify to an audience about why you exist, right?
Yeah.
So like Top Gun Maverick, it came out 37 years later, right? Yeah. And that made a very, very concerted effort to re-establish itself about why it existed.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's almost tried to pick up where it left off with Avatar. Is it doing anything new and innovative that can say, hey, this is why we've been away for so long, and this is how much we've changed?
You could say, the way in which they're filming underwater is completely revolutionized underwater filming. Cool, but like, it's still just the same to me. Of like,
wow. Does it make you think better of Avatar 1?
It's better. Avatar 1 is better film.
Like 100%.
Gun to my head, we'll rewatch 1 right now. Avatar 1, 100%. Wow. I'd rewatch that. It is worse. And there's the sort of minute and a half of B-roll before every single scene. I made one note in my phone when I came out, and that was Gogglebox Pandora edition. Because even, how I said it gives you nothing to do? I can see that this looks beautiful. Let me go, wow, isn't that amazing? I am watching the characters on screen all going, wow, this is amazing. Like, they are telling me it's amazing when I know it's amazing. So I'm just watching other people in the film tell me it's amazing. It's like watching Gogglebox. I know it's beautiful. Let me see that it's beautiful and stop going, outstanding, incredible. This is, I feel so...
The irony that for a film that wants to show you so much, it's actually telling you so much. That, the cinematic trap, show, don't tell, and it's fallen into the latter.
And there's a very sad scene in the middle, and again, I could predict how it was going to end, what the consequences are. It's not like, that should have hit really hard. I just felt nothing by that. I was an hour and 45 minutes in by that point. I was a movie's worth in.
Yeah.
And I go, fuck, I've got
another movie.
I've got another movie to watch left of this.
Christ. Okay. If you're listening to this and you've now found time to go and see Avatar...
The Way of Water.
I hate that. It's Way of the...
I agree.
The Way of Water. No,
The Way of Water. It's the title.
No, it's Way of the Water.
No, it's The Way of Water.
No, it's Wave. Isn't it?
It's The Way of Water.
No, it's not. I think it's changed.
I think it's The Way of Water. The Way of Water.
It is The Way of Water.
The Way of Water. It's not Way of the Water. We just spoke about
I'm
this.
sorry. Again, I'm an idiot.
Struggle with that.
If you've seen it, let us know your thoughts. Do you disagree with James? Do you think James has completely missed the point? He's been very cynical. Or do you disagree? Do you have opinions about the technology? Did the high frame rate change bother you?
If you
saw it in high frame rate.
And I just think it's a shame that Avatar cannot work for me.
Yeah.
As someone who loves film.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge failure.
I know we had some reservations about Avatar 1, but as I did say last week, I did respect the clarity of its vision and stuff, and we both want to like this film. We always want to like a film when we go see it.
I think you and I think lots of people listen to the show will have watched lots of films. We have definitely seen, I'm not saying I've seen every film, but we've seen lots of structures in films, and you recognize a lot of things that are very familiar. And I think what everyone is always looking for is something that's really challenging, something that tests them and goes, I never really thought, I know that plot, but the way in which you did that is something that really made me think. And I just think it's a shame that you had 13 years and you just played it so safe, and therefore it just is so dull. And I hate to rail on a film and just be negative, but it's failed to get I think a normal film goer to be interested in this film.
You should just call it The Way of What?
Yeah.
Way of what? Not The Way of Water. Anyway, I haven't even seen it.
I think Mark Kermode called it Ava Nap, The Way of Torture.
Other film podcasts are available. Let us know your thoughts, guys. If you have seen it, hello@popkitchenpodcast.com. We'd love to hear from you.
George? Let's go through some of the emails that we got this week. As always, if you have your thoughts, questions, concerns, and you want to write into the show, you can do by emailing hello@popkitchenpodcast.com. Just like Joshua did. Joshua says, hey gents, Josh again, bit of an insignificant question, but you guys have spoken a lot about the superhero series and how Marvel are overloading us with content. Yes. And I was just wondering if you guys have ever watched the original version and start of superhero shows from the CW television broadcasting company, being The Arrow and The Flash, and what your opinion of them were. These shows came out when I was a teenager, and to me, brackets a superhero fan, felt very special, and the shows were a big part of my life. Yet the new Marvel shows just don't hit the same with me. We'll always love the podcast and be a big fan. Josh, we'll always, I love it, we'll always. Get the tattoo.
Thank you, Thank you. Pop Kitchen till I die.
Yeah.
I have never seen...
Flash?
I know, Arrow, Flash, Batgirl, Supergirl... was it Superwoman?
I've seen shots of Superwoman, Supergirl.
I think it's Supergirl.
Supergirl with Melissa Benoit, who is in Whiplash.
Benoist. Let me have a look.
I have heard really good things about The Arrow and The Flash, and I've seen people be really passionate about those series. I just don't know. I don't know about you, but it just never really reeled me in the same way.
Sorry, it's Supergirl. You're absolutely right.
How do you spell it? Melissa
Benoist.
Benoist.
But it might be Benoit. It might be Benoit.
Benoit.
It's probably French originally.
Like Benoit Blanc.
I agree. I saw them all coming out, and it came out for me. I mean, I was a late teenager when they were coming out.
Yeah.
But I think I was just already kind of oversaturated. And here's the thing. A bit cynically, I was like, if I'm going to see a superhero project, I really don't want to see it done on a smaller, limited TV budget. I want to see it done on big scale budget. So when I would see some of the the CGI used in Supergirl and The Flash and Arrow, I'd be like, but I think it's a little Doctor Who.
Yeah, that's it, Doctor Who.
So, I try not to be too disrespectful in saying that, but I'm aware how popular they are, absolutely, and I love the fact that those series have actually been able to build their own following and their own TV specials where they've had interconnected episodes and Crisis on Infinite Earths. I think that was that one because they've got the DC League of Extraordinary People. Again, I haven't seen it, so I'm probably offending a lot of people, but getting that wrong. But I'm aware that it has really grown. It has its own following, and I like and respect that.
I have a category of things that I haven't seen in that sort of cozy sort of maybe, my opinion, the quality of them is not quite high enough, where I've let them pass me by.
Yeah.
And I go, maybe when I'm sick, maybe when I'm like stuck at home or a Christmas or a plane. And for some reason, I just never really did that.
If you didn't watch it in COVID, I don't think you're ever going to watch it. That's my argument to people. When people say, I just wanted to get sick, I'm like, we had a lockdown.
You had a year off.
You had lots of time in the lockdown. And if you didn't watch it, even if you were working, if you didn't get time to watch it then, I don't think you were really going to watch it. Yeah. Anyway, good question though. I think we've got some DMs as well into our Instagram account.
At PULP KITCHEN Podcast, if you want to DM.
Apologies, some of these are a little bit belated because we just haven't read them out in a while. So first of all, a couple of weeks ago, we did a good few film reviews. We did She Said, we did Bones and All, but we also did After Sun, and
which I'm about to watch.
Oh, great!
Very keen to see it.
So this, for people who don't remember, was the Paul Mescal film that came out about the Spanish holiday. Not Spanish, sorry. Turkish holiday, which I missed the first 2 minutes of because of an ongoing debate about whether the cinema messed up or I messed up. Anyway, Jaina writes in and says, "Re the After Sun review." Do you say "re" or "re" when it's for an email? I say, do you? I say "r." I say "re." Is it short for regarding?
Regarding.
Whatever. Anyway. I've watched dozens of great movies this year, says Jaina, and this is the one in asterisk movie I keep thinking about. I cried at the end, as did others in the theatre. Yep, I can see that. It was moving. And I don't usually go in for sad movies. But the sadness herein was worth it. It became a personal moment. Since I watched it, I've talked to my siblings, I've talked to my mum about remembering and misremembering my late dad, for better or worse. I haven't thought about my relationship to my dad when I was a kid in decades, and here I was trying to figure him out, just like Sophie in the movie. It's a genius construct by Charlotte Wells, putting us in Sophie's position as an adult. There are no wasted moments to get us to that place. Watch the slow parts. There are hints about what's happening in those. And then she says, "All that said, my dudes, get to the movie at the start time," etc. But I just, Jaina, that's a really, really nice message, and I think that's exactly what the film is doing, and exactly what its tension is. And I think you've got the perfect response to it, and the fact that you can bring something personal to it is great. I agree that when it got to the end, a bit like how I had with Armageddon Time, it's like, oh, I'm starting to realise that this film has actually done something really different and really bold. And I'll be interested to hear your thoughts when you go see it.
That's really nice email to write in. I think it's very great to hear about that sort of personal experience affecting the way in which you've interpreted a film. It's picked up on a couple of conversations which we had where people ask us, has something that's happened to you personally or a way in which you frame your life,
your context,
you know, growing up at watching something at different ages, like so many people have written in about
that CW email we just had with the guy said about, you know,
like emotional attachments to stuff, and it takes someone else who's lived through a completely different life to say, yes, but the way that thing was done for my personal experience really worked, was really true to what going through something like that might be. And I think that's what makes
also not to get too ideological about it, or deep about it. It's about, that's kind of what cinema is meant to be. It's that Charlotte Wells clearly had an idea of what she wanted to communicate, and it's an emotional idea. It's not a literal idea, it's not a logical idea. She had an emotional idea that she wanted to do, and the only way that she could communicate that was through the language and art of cinema. And in so doing, she's been able to communicate something that she might not have been able to do through words, but by doing it in that way, people are able to connect with it in a way that they wouldn't have done with words. So people like Jaina are able to see that and derive meaning and experience and depth that they wouldn't have got.
You know what I'm excited for?
That's
as I age, I think, like, you know, for example, you and I weren't alive in the 80s. We don't really have much living memory of the 90s. But a film like Armageddon Time, which is set in the 80s, can present us with a vision of the 80s. And we can see the 80s for all the things we've been told they were like, and all the pictures we've seen, all the movies we've seen, all the media we've seen. But us connecting to that decade. And even though we enjoy Armageddon Time very much, someone who has lived that will find a different connection to that period of time in a completely different way that we will. Even though an effective director should be able to
ground you in that
and telegraph why that period of time has been chosen to set the film. I'm excited to, as I age, be like, that was what the noughties were like, but also, and the 2010s.
And also, we've talked about how your emotional response to something changes as you get older and your relationship with that. And so, one thing that you like now, you might love in 10 years' time. Or you might. I love the idea that there's something I've seen that I thought was okay, and then I return to it in 5 years' time, and I do my 5-year rewatching rule, and I go, oh my God, that really caught me off guard. That's really emotional. Or you grow away from something. You think, oh, actually, that was great when I was younger, and that's still valid. but now I'm in a different emotional place. There is this scientific study that obviously, like, the older humans get, the much more complex our emotions become.
Sure.
So when you're a child, things are happy, sad,
First time everything's
good, bad. It's very binary or simple, right?
Yeah.
But the older you get, you have much more complex emotions. But the benefit, one of the positives about that is that your emotional life is much more emotionally rich, and therefore that's why I love it. The older I get, if a film can move me,
Yeah.
because I feel like it's
showed me something new.
It's getting harder because it's so much more specific. So like the last film I cried at was The Whale, which obviously I don't want to spoil for anyone. But you show it to a child and they wouldn't cry necessarily.
Yeah.
But I would watch that because of the complexity, and I'm thinking, oh wow,
Yeah.
I love it. I love if that film can get me in that way. Bit of a tangent.
I can't wait for you to be in your 60s showing the most sad thing in the world. You're just there stone face like, nope, seen it before.
I've emotionally moved on,
Yeah.
thank you.
It's not good enough.
Wait 40 years and you'll be weeping at Avatar Way of the Water. It just reminds me of when cinema was around.
Avatar 9 is so beautiful.
Thank you for your message, Jaina. And the other one we had into Instagram is from Jack, who says, new to the podcast, have you reviewed Yellowstone? Now, Yellowstone has kind of only become on my radar this year. It is a hugely popular show in the States with Kevin Costner in.
That's the one.
It's in like series 5 now. It's got like 3 spin-offs in the works. I have not seen it. James has not seen it. I really think it's only starting to permeate through to the UK market with Paramount Plus.
Has an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's got very good reviews. So we haven't seen it. But if you have, and I mean, that's the end of Jack's note. But
Yeah.
if you have any thoughts on why we should watch it, then give it a go. Oh, and I actually think, sorry, stand corrected. We have had another email. It might have been from the set designer who wrote in about Don't Worry, Darling. She might have said, have you seen Yellowstone?
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I've got that person misidentified. But I'm aware, for us in the UK, it's starting to bubble through this year.
Sometimes when I edit the podcast, I watch us answering questions, and I'm like, we only answered half the question. We'll just get really excited because people ask us like 3 questions sometimes. We'll like really go for the first one, and then we'll be like, great, cool, next question. I just go, we didn't answer it. For that, I'm really sorry. We just get excited. But
anyway, those are the correspondence we had this week. As you know, always let us know your thoughts and opinions to hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com. Okay, James, let's finish this episode with the game of Cast List Countdown.
Okay.
I'm going to read you out the cast list of a film, and you have to tell me what that film is. Starting with the probably least important actor.
Okay.
I think this is a bit of a hard one.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Here we go. Guess the film based on its cast. In 3, 2, 1. Alia Shawkat. Elliot Gould, rather.
Okay.
Steve Coogan. Antonio Banderas. Annette Bening.
Not Puss in Boots or something? No.
Getting close now. Chris Messina. Zoe Kazan. Last one. Paul Dano.
It's really familiar. What is that? Zoe Kazan and Paul Dano.
Again, that is Paul Dano, Zoe Kazan, Annette Bening, Antonio Banderas, Steve Coogan, Elliot Gould, and Elia Shawkat.
No, go on.
That is the 2012 movie Ruby Sparks.
Oh, I've not
Do you
seen
remember?
it.
You remember
No.
okay. This is the thing. I thought it'd be hard because not a lot of people remember that film, but that is a good cast list.
Very good
That's
cast
a good cast list. That is a film directed by Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Faris.
Yes, I
who went
know
on
the
to make
poster.
Sexes and stuff. You know, it's the story
Yes.
of a writer who writes a girlfriend into real life.
I need
So he
I like that.
writes his perfect girlfriend, and then she turns out to be real.
Zoe Kazan is, I think she's really good. She's really,
Yes, she's a good actress,
I
yeah.
think she's always been good. But in She Said, I was like, you're going to be a big star, Zoe Kazan.
Some would say she already is.
I'd agree.
Okay.
Did you get that?
I mean, I won't begrudge anyone who's going, Ruby who?
Yeah.
What? Yeah, it was a while back now.
I Googled it. It's legit.
It's a real movie.
It's a real movie.
All right, James, I've got another one for you now. I think this is going to be slightly easier for you.
Okay. All right.
Guess the movie based on its cast list.
Okay.
In 3, 2, 1. James Badge Dale. Alec Baldwin. Vera Farmiga. Ray Winston.
The Departed.
Yes, very good. Ray Winston's a giveaway, I think,
Yeah.
because like Ray Winston is not usually in films with Vera Farmiga.
Vera Farmiga, get Alec Baldwin. I was like, I don't think they've collaborated before, but incredible cast.
And after that, we were going to have Mark Wahlberg, Jack Nicholson, Matt Damon, and Leo DiCaprio.
Mark Wahlberg is so good in that movie.
Yeah. And the guy who does his job.
Yeah.
You must be the other guy.
I'm your best fucking friend in this place. There's only one role for Mark Wahlberg to do.
The breathless.
That's it.
Yeah, the breathless annoyed man.
A breathless, jaded cop. That film's quite old. It's older than you think.
2006.
Yeah. Which is like,
You know I knew the year.
You could probably buy that on VHS.
All right.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay, James, last one.
Okay.
I think you should get this.
All right.
Guess the movie based on its cast list in 3, 2, 1. Carl Reiner. Casey Affleck. Scott Caan. Bernie Mac. Don Cheadle. Andy Garcia. Matt Damon. Getting close now. Julia Roberts.
Ocean's 11, 12?
Yes,
yeah.
Brad Pitt and George Clooney. You got to know the other. You got to know the whole 11. You can't just
Casey Affleck, I was like, what?
Casey Affleck's in it.
Because he's turned up in loads of things.
Casey Affleck
As a small role.
They're the two brothers, him and Scott Caan. Scott Caan's the one who drives he's the driver,
yeah.
and Casey Affleck's the one who has like the remote control one. He's like the technical brother. Okay. I didn't mention Kin Shalbo as well, who plays the gymnast.
I told you about how I passively rewatched 2.5 Oceans films on a plane.
Yes.
Over.
Yes,
like
through
not
someone else's
actually
shoulder.
watching, but I really felt like I saw.
Yeah.
I rewatched Oceans without rewatching Oceans, but
I should have made that harder for you. Anyway, some, different levels there for you of Casters Countdown. I hope you've enjoyed it. Now, if you've been watching this episode and listening to this episode and you've reached this point, you're probably listening to it in the days before Christmas 2022.
Merry Christmas.
So that's what we just want to say. A Merry Christmas to everyone listening and a Happy New Year. I hope you have a wonderful time off. Hope you have time to watch some films and wishing you the best.
Yeah, have a Merry Christmas. Enjoy it. If you're watching films, write us and tell you what films you watched at Christmas. I'd love people to go, I watched this at Christmas, this at Christmas, this one was good.
Christmas is the time when you watch the most random stuff. You'll watch the obvious Christmas films and you'll be like, I also watched this one because my nan said she liked it. And you know what? From 1946, it's a good movie.
Even if you just watched The Holiday and Love Actually, I don't care. I want to hear about
Absolutely
it.
fine. Yeah, we don't care. Just let us know. And have a good one. If you don't celebrate Christmas, doesn't matter. Have a good break. Have a good time off.
Enjoy the time off.
But we will be back next week with a very special episode. Our final episode of the year.
Should we say what it is? I think we tease
I think we
Let's do it.
Guys, it's our end of year roundup. It's the Pulp Kitchen Awards.
The first ever.
The inaugural
annual
Pulp Kitchen Awards.
We will be gifting awards for some of our favourite films, scenes, directors, moments of the year. If you've ever wondered what George and James thought are the best, it's the list. I think all the news articles are going to pick up on it. What will we wear?
I think people are like, the Oscars are great, but I think like Brendan Fraser's holding out to be like, yeah, but did I win a Pulp Kitchen Award?
Yes, I want to see a new updated trailer for The Whale with Academy Award nominee
in the crest, Palme d'Or winner
in our like tacky
Pulp
font, Pulp Kitchen Award.
Our font is not tacky,
no,
James.
but compared to like the Cannes wreath,
well,
I just want to see like the stamp of Pulp Kitchen Award winner.
Anyway, catch us then. In the meantime, have a good Christmas.
Merry
See you next
Christmas.
week.
And we're off.
Fucking
Christ.
hell.
Can we get rid of that guy? Why is that flashing?
Put your fucking lights off, man. They're Christmas lights.
You are so amateur. Oh my God.
There's our Christmas. Please don't hit me, Mr. Bale. Please don't hit me.
I will never work with you ever again.
You're fucking dumb, man. You're
fucking dumb. It's just so amateur. Accent just all over the place.